Hello and welcome to another camera review. Today we are talking about the latest camera from Canon. It is Canon's EOS 90D. Now, those who don't know about this camera, it is an APS-C type of sensor camera that is the latest technology that Canon has put in. And this one features a Digic 8 processor, which is a wonderful processor that's used in their top of the line cameras. This is their top of the line camera. And what is interesting is that they have put in some very important features that make it a standout camera. Normally, as you may know, there has been a big migration from those that are using DSLR type of cameras to mirrorless. But this one makes you wonder why they have not kept this kind of camera system throughout different lineups in other companies, because this camera is a testament of what DSLR can do. Obviously, with this release came the M6 Mark II, which is another camera that's mirrorless, has almost similar specs, but I'm going to talk about that in a different review. But this one, I'm going to talk about mostly what advancements there has been and how it's going to compare to the competition that is out there. Firstly, you're going to see that it's an APS-C type of sensor, which means that it is not a full frame. That means that anything that you're going to use lens-wise is going to have a multiplication factor in terms of if you were comparing to a full frame. So that is an important consideration. But there are also advantages that come with using this kind of a sensor, because first of all, you can get very fast shooting rate, which on this one is about 10 frames per second. You can do up to 25 frames, so that means you're going to get 2.5 seconds of continuous shooting. That is not a lot of number of frames, but it is sufficient to capture that shot that you may be looking for. It is that for that fast action shots this camera can serve. Now, back in the day, about 5 years ago, 10 years ago, getting those numbers on a full frame was almost unheard of, because it was very difficult to get that. And a lot of people that use these type of cameras, the full frames for sports action, wanted to have those frames. And it was only the very professionals that could afford these kind of cameras could get them. Right now, anybody who's got about $1,200, which is what the cost of this camera is, can get those frames per second and get higher megabits of content that comes out of this camera. So the images are going to be about 32 megapixels, and that is a very good number. If you think about it, 32 megapixels was the tier that was set before for full frames. Now the full frames are going up to 50 megapixels and over, and we are seeing the APS-C sensors are also going up. Before it was 12, then up to 18 to 24. Now we are seeing that number to 32, and 32 is a lot of data, a lot of information. A lot of people wonder if that 32 megapixels is going to cause difficulties in low light situations because of the sensor size. I will tell you this, the new software that is inside this camera is so advanced that it is going to perform beautifully under low light circumstances. The images that come out of it are pretty impressive, and more importantly, you're going to find that the way this camera functions has you in a better position than you could ever be in the past. For that, I think Canon has achieved something incredible, and that is their face detection autofocus system. Now, this is important because face detection was mostly reserved for mirrorless cameras, but they are going to be able to do this in this system where you have an optical viewfinder that does face detection, and you will find that it nails the focus very well. If you may remember, in my couple of videos earlier, I had announced that the Canon had come up with a new firmware that improved their autofocus capabilities that now is probably the best in the business. Before, it was Sony that was pushing the lines. Fuji was also going very strong. Canon had not updated their autofocus systems. Now they have this incredible technology to nail focus at each time, and I've seen this camera perform under difficult circumstances where the subject was moving incredibly fast, and what happened was that they were able to nail the focus each time. For that is very important, because those missed shots sometimes are the ones that would have made the difference between a superior shot and a mediocre shot, and it is for that reason nailing that focus is very important. Now, comparing that 32 megabit file to something that comes out of full frame, that is, for example, 24 megapixels, you're going to find that that 32 is going to give you more details, more information for you to make larger prints or get finer details. What is also interesting and what you'll find beautiful about it is that the color that we have been so accustomed to from Canon is continuing on this line. So it's going to give you incredible color consistency. Now, for some, the color consistency is a little bit warm because that's how Canon shoots. But if you look at it, it is also very accurate. It is not very flat. It is something that captivates your eye and gives you a beautiful bokeh if you use it with the right lens. Of course, for anybody who's entering this kind of photography world and is looking for a camera that is both affordable and doesn't require buying expensive lenses, this is a beautiful entry-level camera. It is for that reason that if you purchase it and use it for 5-6 years, you're still going to be able to use it for another 5 years, because the 32 megapixels is more than sufficient to cover just about all the needs that a photographer might have in terms of capturing images. Also, the lineup of lenses that are available from Canon is just staggering, because you can put full frame lenses, you can put lenses that have come out from Canon, and that is going to make this camera shine. So you're actually investing in an ecosystem that has been proven. That is the reason why I like Canons more than other camera manufacturers that have just come out and they're introducing their new line of lenses that still needs time to be tested and improved and to be accepted by the professionals. So it is this camera that I think is going to light the way for those new generation of photographers. Also, what you will find with this new camera is the ability to do video. You're going to get the 4K video, which is the standard, but it is not at 24 frames but 30 frames, which is 29.97. Now, you might be asking, why has Canon done this? Well, first of all, Canon sees it as not necessary. It should have been there. It would have cost nothing to put it in, but it is one of the things that Canon does, keeps certain features out. But 30 frames works wonderful, because if they are doing content for YouTube or content for online platforms, 30 frames is usually the standard that they usually use. So it is for that reason having 30 frames of shooting is sufficient, more than enough for anyone who wants to do video. The good part is that this back screen can be flipped sideways or up in multiple directions, so you can compose the image of what you're shooting. It has a phone jack in and a mic jack, so you can attach a microphone to be able to do handheld shots of yourself when you're doing reviews or if you are doing content for YouTube. It's multitude of opportunities to do creative work that will give you tons of ways to improve your photography and your video. If, for example, you're in the market for a camera that you can use and invest a little bit of money in and do, for example, wedding videos or event videos, this camera will do that and photography. So it's a very beautiful hybrid camera. Now, the downside, which I will have to mention, is that, again, a lot of people are going to the mirrorless, but Canon is saying this type of camera, the digital DSLR systems, are going to be around for a long time, because they are the systems that the foundation of Canon and Nikon is built upon. And as the cameras advance, there are going to be certain features that are going to make this camera shine. That being said, if you look at the way that, for example, electronic viewfinder compares to an optical viewfinder is always there. You don't have to have any blackouts. You don't have to have anything that is going to disturb the way that images is composed. In that respect, I think it is very good to use a camera that's an optical viewfinder and has all the features that come with having a fast autofocus and accuracy and everything that you would want in a professional type of camera. In that respect, I think it's a good investment. What you will find is that there are cameras out there, but in this price bracket range that is slightly over $1,000, I think it is a good investment. And if you buy it as a kit, you're gonna get a lens that is gonna work wonderful and cover the most of your needs. Now, I have provided links down below where you can order this camera or the lens camera combination at the lowest price. And if you want to read up more on it, I have also provided links with specs and everything else, and just follow those links. And if you have any questions, please drop a line in the comment section below and I will try to answer your questions. We are obviously going to do some reviews comparing this camera with the other cameras in other lineups, and that will be following up next, and I hope we'll see each other in the next review. Thank you for watching.